Let's move on to item number 11. A number has a prime factorization of 3 cubed times 5 squared. How many positive factors does it have? Is it 5, 6, 12, and 15? Note that when we say positive factors, it includes 1 and the number itself. So actually, we will be invoking number theory here. And remember that 3 cubed times 5 squared, you have your prime factors raised to certain positive integral exponents. And if this happens, you could review your number theory. What you have to do is add 1 to the exponents. So 3 here is the exponent, 3 plus 1. Here, the exponent is 2. So 2 plus 1. And this is 4 times 3. And after adding 1 to the exponents, all you have to do is multiply them. And 4 times 3 is 12. Hence, we have to expect that this number has 12 positive factors, including 1 and the number itself. But take note that you can only apply this as long as the base are prime numbers. If it's not prime numbers, then don't use this method yet. Let's have item number 12. What test is used to determine if a function is one-to-one? Is it the vertical, horizontal, diagonal, or straight line test? What do you think? And the correct answer is, let's see. Vertical line test is used to determine if a particular graph is that of a function or not. If you draw a vertical line in any portion of the graph, then at most one point should be intersected by the vertical line to the graph. If the vertical line intersects 2 or more points on the graph, then the graph is that of a relation which is not a function. Letter B is the correct answer here. Horizontal line test is used to determine if a function is one-to-one. That is, if the horizontal line, if you draw any horizontal line along the graph, and if it intersects the graph in at most one point, then that is a graph of a function which is one-to-one. Actually, C and D are not tests at all if it is a function or not. They are just placed there as distractors. So the correct answer is letter B. Number 13. The approximate distance of the Earth from the Sun, to the Earth, is 150,000 kilometers. Write this distance in scientific notation. So which of these do you think is correct? Pause the video if you need to, and resume answering if you are ready. And I will reveal the answer now. So you could actually see that the correct answer here should be C. Because if you express a number in scientific notation, then the first number here should be between from 1, but should not reach 10. So from here, it's only B and C that satisfies. But here, it's presumed, or it's known that the decimal point is here, and you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So it has to move 8 units going to the left, and that's why it's 8 here. And since this number is greater than 1, that is the reason that the exponent is positive. That's why it should be letter C. All right. So far, so good. Let's have item number 14. Factor completely x to the 4th minus x minus 16 rather. Which of these do you think is the correct set of factors? Let us now divulge the solution. If you answered letter A, it's a correct factoring. However, it's not the complete. It's not the. It's not yet simplified. You could still factor it. And this is a difference of two squares, because you could see that the exponent x to the fourth is a perfect square. It's in fact the square of x squared, and 16 is 4 squared. And if you factor a difference of 2 squared, so you get the square root of the first term. So we have x squared, so x squared here and x squared here as well. The square root of 16 is 4. This is 4. And this is minus, this is plus here. Now, from here, we could actually see that x squared minus 4 is a difference of 2 squares again. It's factorable to x minus 2 times x plus 2. And the x squared plus 4, a sum of 2 squares, more often than not, is no longer factorable. That's why it's just copied. Hence, the correct answer is x minus 2 times x plus 2 times x squared plus 4, and that's letter D. Moving on. Number 15. The hydrogen atom has a diameter of 1 times 10 raised to negative 8 cm. This measure is equivalent to what? The exponent of this number in scientific notation is negative. So we are certain that this number is less than 1. Hence, we have to reject letter B. And since it's negative, if we are going to express it in the decimal format, we have to move the decimal point 8 places going to the left. And if you do that, moving the decimal point 8 places to the left, to the left, no, from 1, it's right here, from here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, we have this number. And that is, after the decimal point, that's 7 zeros, then 1. Then that's letter A. Okay. Now, a square has a side of 4x minus 7 cm. Which of the following expressions represent the perimeter of a square? Which one do you think? And when we say perimeter, it is the distance around a polygon. And the formula for a perimeter of a square is 4s, or 4 times the side. And since your side is 4x minus 7, so by substitution, and distributing the 4, so 4 times 4x is 16x, and 4 times negative 7, it's minus 28, and you got an answer, which is letter C. I hope you got this correctly. Moving on to number 17. Simplify 8 raised to 2/3. Is it 16/3, 4, 6, or 16? Remember, if you have an integer here raised to a fractional exponent, it is understood that the numerator of the fractional exponent is the power of the base. So that's 8 squared, exponent of your base rather. And this, when written in radical form, and this 3 will become the index of your root. So, and this is a property of radicals. So we have here this is the same as the cube root of 8 squared. So you see the 3 here is the index, cube root, and the 2 is the exponent of this. It's actually could be placed inside 8 squared. You could do the 8 squared before taking the cube root, or you take the cube root before you square. They will give you the same answer in this case. Cube root of 8, it's 2, because 2 cube is 8. So the cube root of 8 must be 2. And squaring that, 2 squared, that gives you 4. Or, as what I said earlier, you could square it first. 8 squared, that's 64. And the cube root of 64 is 6. The cube root of 64 is 4, because 4 cubed is 64. Hence, letter B is the correct answer. Moving on to the next one. Number 18. Which of the following is the simplified form of square root of 50 minus square root of 32 plus square root of 18? Is it square root of 36, 4 square root of 2, 2 square root of 5, or 5 square root of 2 plus 2 square root of 3? We all know that 50, 32, and 18 are not perfect squares. But what we know is that these numbers have positive perfect square factors. In fact, the largest, for 50, that's 25 times 2. The 32 is 16 times 2. And 18, that's 9 times 2. Why did I express it this way? Because we have to make sure that one of the factors is the largest perfect square factor, with the intention of extracting the square root of the perfect squares. You see here that 25, the square root of 25 is 5, but since 2 is not a perfect square, so it should stay inside the radical sign, or it should be your radicand. The same thing is done here. 16 square root of 2 simplifies to 4 square root of 2. 9 square root of 2 simplifies to 3 square root of 2. So you see they are now similar radicals because they have the same radicand here, which is 2. And 5 minus 4, that's 1, plus 3, that's 4, and just copy the square root of 2. So the correct answer here is 4 square root of 2, letter B. All right. Number 19. What is the area of a triangle with sides 5, 12, and 13? Is it 30, 35, 50, or 60 square units? Give this problem a try if you wish. And let me now divulge the answer and the solution. So this is the expression. In fact, if you just notice, you could actually see that this is a right triangle, since it obeys or it satisfies the Pythagorean theorem. That is, 5 squared plus 12 squared equals 13 squared. Because if the sum of the squares of the two legs is equal to the sum of the hypotenuse, then we are sure that this is a right triangle. 5 squared is 25, 12 squared is 144, 25 plus 144 is 169, 13 squared is 169. So we are sure that this is a right triangle, and that if you wanted to get the area of a right triangle, you employ the formula base times height divided by 2. That is, your base here is 5, your height is 12, and that's 5 times 12 divided by 2. That's 12 divided by 2 is 6, and 5 times 6 is 30. So the correct answer here is 30 square units. Let's have number 20. What is the point of intersection of 2x minus 4y minus 10 equals 0 and 4x plus 3y equals 9? Is it 1, 3, 3, negative 1, 1, negative 3, or negative 3, 1? What do you think? When we speak about point of intersection of these two lines, in this case, we know that they have these different slopes, so we are sure there is only one point of intersection. And that point of intersection, that point should be common to both two lines. So it should satisfy two lines. And for such, we could employ either substitution, elimination to do this, etc. to do this. So for the first equation, I intend, in this case, I multiplied both sides by 2. So this becomes 4x minus 8y equals 20, equals 20. Negative 10 times 2, it's negative 20, but I added 20 both sides. That's why it's plus 20 on the right-hand side here. And my intention is to eliminate x. And in this case, I'll just copy the second equation. And we have here 4x and 4x. So with the intention of eliminating x, we have to subtract both sides of the equation. 4x minus 4x is 0. Negative 8y minus 3y is negative 11y. 20 minus 9 is 11. That's why we have the equation negative 11y equals 11. Dividing both sides by negative 11 gives y equals negative 1. So we have the value of y. We can now solve for the value of x. In this case, you could substitute it in any of these two equations. Instead, in my case, I chose to substitute it in 4x plus 3y equals 9. I replaced the y with -1. So I have here 4x plus 3 times -1 equals 9. 3 times -1, it's minus -3. So adding 3 both sides gives you 4x equals 12. And dividing both sides by 4 gives x equals 3. So we have now the value of x and y. And the point of intersection is in the format xy, placed inside the parentheses and are separated by commas. So they intersect at the point 3, -1. In this case, letter B.